Hello, everybody. I hope you're all well. I'm stand-up comedian Sam Gore. So anonymous. Too long. Didn't read. Yep, that guy. Pompous. Overwrought. Not every sentence needs to be a simile. Why are you hiding behind the internet, despite the fact your name's clearly linked to on the page? Well, because if I came round to your house and shouted my opinion through your letterbox, that'd be rude, wouldn't it? First of all, apologies for my face and hair. Lockdown's not been kind to any of us. I'm here today to submit myself for contrition. Recently, I wrote a post on this page that implied that multimillionaire conspiracy theorist David Icke might have multi-millions of questionable motivations for jumping on the bandwagon of 5G scaremongering in the middle of a global pandemic. I was then forcefully engaged in conversation with a very passionate man who clearly wanted to point out the error of my ways and help me towards a more scientific understanding. The first thing he did was send me this map, which I presumed at the time was to counter my argument that coronavirus is affecting lots of places that don't actually have any 5G coverage. Actually, I tell a lie. The first thing he did was call me a fucking retard, which I wasn't aware at the time, but is actually a clandestine greeting among the scientific community, so I was happy to be educated on that front. Falsely assuming he was insulting me, I attempted some friendly banter and was immediately rebuked. This was completely understandable, obviously. Science is a very passionate subject, and I can't begrudge people their emotional response to it. We went back and forth a little bit by text, and then in his quest to re-educate me, I started getting voice messages, which was very exciting, because I'm always keen to learn.
Listen, you stupid fuck. I don't understand why it's impossible for your retarded fucking brain to get the fact that COVID-19 can spread from people to people, whereas 5G cannot, you fucking dumbass. Now listen carefully, because I'm not going to repeat it over and over again for stupid chiefs like you. It started in places that do have 5G. Now, if you keep ignoring that part and saying that it's got no link to 5G, or it's in countries that don't even have 5G, you sound like a fucking 5-year-old in a playground arguing with a fucking teacher, you splat!
It's a very direct and unconventional way to educate people, but I think we can all agree it is effective. Now, it turns out I had misunderstood, and this man didn't actually believe that 5G causes coronavirus. That would have been a foolish position to take, and I regret the breakdown in our communication that led to my misinterpretation of his findings. He was quite right to call me an actual fucking hominid, which was an insult that really cut me quite deeply, because it was so very accurate. Also, I think we can all agree that Curb Your Retardation is a Larry David spin-off that nobody should ever commission. Now, unfortunately and embarrassingly for me at this point, I exposed myself by pretending that I had some basic grasp of scientific principles, and I suggested that possibly these two maps didn't necessarily imply causation. And very quickly, he corrected my findings on that front.
Correlation doesn't imply causation! Correlation doesn't imply causation!
You sound like some dumbass that went to university and got told lots of fucking phrases and anecdotes that you now repeat to everyone else to make yourself sound smart. You chump!
To be fair to him, I've got a 2-1 in broadcast journalism, and that's been exactly as useful as it sounds.
If you want to fucking go around screaming correlation does not imply causation at people that are smarter than you, yeah? And have come up with fucking answers and questions that you don't have while you sit there trying to tell David Icke that he's crawling out of the woodwork at the right time to make some money, bruv. Yeah? Literally, you actual fucking Nazi! I didn't say that it caused it, mate. That's what's fucking wrong with you. Go away, have a fucking good think about how your stupid brain fucking works, rewire your synapses, improve your ability to discern what's actually going on in the world without screaming causation is correlation at people because you've got a fucking superiority complex, you absolute fucking dash of a fucking cunt.
Now, as I've freely admitted, I had misunderstood what this man was trying to say, and he didn't actually believe that 5G causes coronavirus.
I did not fucking say at any single point that it caused the virus. That's what you want me to say, mate. That's what you want me to say so that you can win what you fucking perceive as an argument. It's not an argument, mate. You're just wrong. And I am a man.
Which, as we all know, means you have to listen.
Not some man on the internet. A fucking man telling you you're wrong. Yeah? And telling you that when you put up a post trying to call out people from your fucking shit throne of bollocks while you do fuck all but scream correlation isn't causation, I didn't say 5G caused the virus. You said that I said that. And that's what's fucking wrong with you. That's why you'll never learn anything from fucking anyone.
Just in case that wasn't clear, I'd made a false assumption. But we moved on from there, and he started asking me some questions about what I personally believed.
You don't think that 5G causes the virus. You don't know whether I think 5G causes the virus. That's fun. Let's leave that open. However, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible that 5G is exasperating the virus?
Dear listener, I did not.
I'm not sending you peer-reviewed studies, yeah, because you've got Google, mate, right? Don't fucking... What is wrong with you, man? Like, why can't you talk to somebody without trying to demean the conversation and control it as well? See, this is what I know about people like you. You're obsessed with controlling things, right? You telling me to fucking send you peer-reviewed studies is just you trying to fucking clutch at straws for control during the conversation, mate. No, Google it, you fucking chump.
But this bombardment of truth had left me unable to believe the evidence of my eyes and ears, and eventually he did come round to the idea that he may have to try and explain the science a little bit further to me.
It resonates at a frequency of 60 megahertz, which is high enough to be absorbed by oxygen molecules. The oxygen that you breathe in on a daily basis, that is. COVID-19 symptoms are exactly the same as radiation pneumonitis. The test for COVID-19 doesn't test for COVID-19. It just tests for strains of COVID. That's all it does. It tests for strains of COVID. Most people have a strain of COVID in their system this time of year, flu season. Do you get that? Do you get what that means? I've actually spoken to a nurse, yeah, who works with other nurses who I haven't spoken to, but guess what? They've spoken to her because she works with them. And they've had a little conversation, which I'm sure has been going on all over the fucking world, mate, about how it's a bit of a scam that the test doesn't specifically test for COVID-19.
Now, at this point, I was completely convinced because I had simply been going off the general consensus of a global network of medical experts, and I hadn't spoken to a nurse who worked with other nurses who I hadn't spoken to, but they'd had a conversation because they work together. So as you can tell, this man took some real time out of his day to clarify the science behind all this, which I really appreciated. And not only that, he also went even further and went into sort of the motives behind this conspiracy.
There are people in America that predicted that after the attempt to impeach Trump would fail, that a biological weapon would be released on the public, which he would have to deal with, and would be faced with the predicament of trying to keep the economy open while facing a pandemic, and that he would try to do it, and that the Democrats would blame him for deaths. This is exactly what's happening. I could link you to the people that said that, but why would I? When you're the kind of fucking ignorant shit that sits there making posts like that, instead of going around making sure they've got a well-rounded worldview before they fucking say anything.
It's harder than it looks, this. cock and balls.
Do you trust Bill Gates, mate? Did you know that Bill Gates' father was really good friends and business partners with the CEO of IBM, who was a self-proclaimed Nazi? Did you know that IBM made the clocking in systems for the concentration work camps in Nazi Germany during the war? I bet you don't know anything, do you, mate?
And he was absolutely right. The longer the conversation went on, in fact, the stupider I felt myself becoming.
There you go again. What is wrong with you're obnoxious, mate. You're a prick. I just told you, yeah, that he's a self-proclaimed Nazi. He's a eugenicist, yeah. Worked for a company that designed the clocking in systems, right, for Nazi Germany concentration camps. Right, clocking in systems. Not fucking closed, you dumb fucking shit! I don't know how old you are, mate, but I assumed you were old enough to fucking get used to the fact that people swear by now. Grow up, you little shit. That's right, I'm calling you obnoxious, and I'm swearing about it because I'm angry. Welcome to the real world, you fool! Yeah? That's what happens. That's what happens, mate. You get called obnoxious when you're obnoxious, and it ain't a fucking far stretch to discover that some people, when they're calling you obnoxious, will add a fuck you in front of it. Have you only just discovered this? The less obnoxious you act, the less people will call you obnoxious and swear about it, and the less your feelings will be hurt. Logic 100.
Now, although his words were harsh, his truth had been hard and satisfying, and my new friend had been absolutely right to call me out on my definitely serious but ill-advised question about Hugo Boss being in on it. I'd been naive. I'd been too paranoid. I'd gone too far down the rabbit hole, and I'd started seeing connections where there weren't any. Thankfully, my new friend was there to set me straight.
He made clocking in system, did he? Well, guess what? Hugo Boss made clothes. Clothes, mate. Clothes, right? C-L-O is the only thing those two things have in fucking common, mate. Yeah? You dumb shit.
And it was at this point that I felt I had to ask the £1,000,000 question. Just who stands to gain from this conspiracy and all the harm they're causing?
I gain from it, mate. I gain from the fact that 5G is going to fry your dumb brain. I think a considerable difference would be that I don't care either way, which is why I'm less likely to subscribe to stupid fucking knee-jerk reactions like, oh no, there's no way they would release 5G if it fries you. They wouldn't do that. No one would do that. You know, I'm not afraid, mate. I'm not afraid if that's what's happening. And because I'm not afraid, I'm less likely to subscribe to this bullshit, knee-jerk, 5G is fucking great for you. In fact, 5G is a very loving thing. I want it deep inside of me.
And it was then that it became very clear that the central focus of our debate had shifted somewhat from 5G.
Do you acknowledge what's wrong with the fact that you retorted with Hugo Boss also made Nazi uniforms to what I said about the CEO of IBM being a eugenicist and the previous projects of said company along same lines? Do you? Do you acknowledge that what you said in reply to that is obnoxious?
Just for the sake of argument, I'm definitely obnoxious.
Retarded.
Ironically, never a word that makes you sound smart when you use it.
You know, I can't even be fucking bothered to keep thinking of words that you are that are shit. You, mate, are what's wrong with this conversation. And I came at you from the beginning in this fucking mode because I already know what you're like. I already know that you come back with bullshit like that.
And it was then, sadly, that our conversation had come full circle, and it was time to conclude what we'd initially been debating, which was the difference between a clothing line and a clocking in system at a concentration camp.
Can we, you know, at least meet in the middle there before we part ways? That there's a very, very, very strict difference between a clothing line and a clocking in system for concentration camps. Can we do that? Is that okay?
And then, just like that, poof, he was gone. My world had been turned upside down.